Hello Gates. James Garner, born James Scott Bumgarner on April 7, 1928, in Norman, Oklahoma, came from humble beginnings that would later shape his grounded character and resilient spirit. Losing his mother at just 5 years old, and with his father struggling to provide stability, Garner spent much of his youth moving between relatives, working odd jobs, and learning to rely on himself. These tough early years gave him a quiet strength and empathy that audiences would one day see reflected in his screen performances. Before acting ever crossed his mind, Garner served his country. He left school at 16 to join the Merchant Marine, later serving in the Korean War, where he was wounded twice and received 2 Purple Hearts. The war taught him discipline, humility, and courage, qualities that became part of the characters he later played. He wasn't one to glorify violence or heroism. He preferred honesty and simplicity, traits that made him one of Hollywood's most relatable stars. Acting came to him by chance after the war when he returned to Los Angeles and worked in various jobs, including modeling. His natural charm caught the eye of a talent agent, and before long, Garner found himself on television sets, learning the craft as he went. His breakout role as Brett Maverick in the 1957 TV series Maverick made him a household name. Unlike the typical tough cowboys of the time, Garner's Maverick was witty, clever, and reluctant to fight unless absolutely necessary, a character that reflected Garner's own easygoing nature. The success of Maverick led to a flourishing film career in the 1960s, where he starred in hits like The Thrill of It All and The Great Escape. His charm, humor, and authenticity made him one of the most admired stars of his generation, both on and off-screen. He carried himself without ego, earning a reputation as one of Hollywood's true gentlemen. In the 1970s, he found renewed fame with The Rockford Files, playing private investigator Jim Rockford, a role that earned him an Emmy and cemented his place as one of television's most beloved figures. Despite the physical demands of the role and frequent injuries, Garner remained committed, always showing up to work with professionalism and heart. Beyond his career, Garner's personal life was a love story for the ages. He met Lois Josephine Fleischman Clark at a party in 1956, and just 16 days later, they married. Their whirlwind romance grew into a nearly 60-year marriage filled with humor, patience, and deep affection. Garner often joked about their marriage, saying it was like the army, everyone complains, but most re-enlist. Lois brought balance and warmth into his life, and Garner embraced her Jewish faith with respect and openness. Together, they raised 2 daughters, Kim and Greta, and built a home grounded in loyalty and love, surviving Hollywood's pressures with rare steadiness. Even during 2 brief separations, they never truly drifted apart, always finding their way back to each other. Garner's respect for others extended beyond his family. Known for his fairness and integrity, he often spoke out for actors' rights and against unfair studio practices. He wasn't afraid to stand up for what he believed in, yet he did it quietly, without bitterness or arrogance. When speaking of fellow actor Randolph Scott later in life, Garner revealed a rare honesty. He described Scott as one of the most misunderstood men in Hollywood, disciplined, reserved, and deeply principled. Garner admired his dignity and calm strength, saying Scott didn't need to raise his voice or seek attention to command respect. Though rumors often surrounded Scott's private life, Garner brushed them aside, explaining that Scott simply didn't care for the spotlight or gossip. He let his work speak for him. Garner saw him as a man of old-fashioned honor, one who carried himself with class and purpose, something he believed Hollywood was losing. To Garner, Scott was the embodiment of quiet masculinity, a man who didn't chase trends or fame but stayed true to his principles. He wasn't warm or overly expressive, but he was authentic, and that, Garner said, was what made him remarkable. When James Garner passed away on July 19, 2014, at the age of 86, it marked the end of not just a storied career but also a love story that had endured nearly 6 decades. Lois, his devoted wife, survived him by 7 years, but friends said she never truly recovered from his loss. Their bond had been unshakable, a partnership built on trust, humor, and devotion. Even in his final years, Lois cared for him quietly at their Brentwood home, protecting his privacy as she always had. Garner's death just weeks before their 58th anniversary felt like the closing of a beautiful, heartfelt chapter in Hollywood history. His life, from small-town Oklahoma to the bright lights of Los Angeles, was defined not by fame or fortune, but by integrity, humility, and love, a true reflection of the man behind the legend.